You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimson.
Now, this Saturday at 11 a.m. on February 12th on SEC Network, Arkansas takes on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Both of these teams are currently not ranked, but they've been in and out of the rankings all season. Alabama sits at 15-9 with a 5-6 conference record. Arkansas is 19-5 with a 8-3 conference record. Now, this game is on the road at Coleman Coliseum. Now, starting it off, looking at the road team here, Alabama is probably one of the top 20 teams in most metric systems. The reason is their offense is extremely efficient. They've got a lot of high offensive playmakers, such as Keon Ellis, Jaden Shackelford, and Javon Quinterly. All those guys are consistently making good shots for the Tide. Points per game leader for the Tide is Jaden Shackelford at 17.6 points per game. Quinterly at 14.3. Ellis is at 11.8. Shackelford shoots 37.6% from three, so that's a good number there. That's NBA type caliber three-point shooting. The thing is with Alabama, though, is their defense is not as good as their offense. Their offense is one of the best in the nation at shooting two-pointers, but they're not really good at shooting threes, which is usually uncommon for Nate Oates' team. They're normally pretty good at shooting threes and, will shoot 20-plus a game, but that's not the case this year. Their defense, though, they don't force many turnovers. They don't offensive rebound that well either, and they send teams to the free throw line an average amount of times is 33.8, and something Arkansas is good at, as you've seen in their last few games, is getting to that free throw line and getting their points off the charity stripe. Arkansas has been pretty good from the free throw line in most of their games this year. With Alabama, though, their defense, being a little bit drop-off compared to their offense, will give Arkansas a relief. Playing Auburn, that defense was really tough. Alabama only averaging 4.8 blocks per game and 7.1 steals. They still got an above-average D1 defense, and they probably got one of the best, top 100 defenses in the nation, but it's not on the same level of their offense. Their offense is definitely more potent than anything concerning this Roll Tide team. Now, if you look at the resume at 15-9, there's a lot of strange losses in here. They lost to Iona, Memphis, Davidson, Missouri. Lost to Auburn twice, which makes sense. Kentucky makes sense. They lost to Georgia, Mississippi State. There's some really weird losses in here, and I think that's just best explained that this Alabama team's just inconsistent. One night, they might show up on the court and play Final Four Alabama basketball like they played against Baylor at home. I mean, Baylor was number 4 in the nation, and they took them down at home. Or they're going to play how they played on the road at Missouri, at Georgia, at Memphis. I mean, all three of those teams are not making the tournament. Memphis, unless something crazy happens, and they looked really bad against them. But they also have some really good wins. Gonzaga, semi-away game, was played in Seattle, which is pretty close to Gonzaga's campus. They ended up beating Gonzaga there by 9. They beat Houston at home, Tennessee at home, Baylor at home. So they definitely have some solid wins over some opponents. There's a lot of common opponents shared for the two teams, but both teams have taken down a number 1 team in the nation. They took down Gonzaga on neutral site. Arkansas took down Auburn at home last game. And if you haven't listened to my episode where I ended up recapping that game, I highly recommend it. I'm not talking about in today's episode because I split them up, but that was probably one of the best podcasts that I've ever done. Out of the 101 that I've produced, that's definitely a must listen. Now for Alabama, you'll likely see a starting 5 most of the time of Javon Quinterly, Jaden Shackelford, Keon Ellis, Juwan Gary, and Charles Biacco. Noah Gurley also comes off the bench a lot to sub in for Charles, and then Davison comes in off the bench at times replacing Ellis, Quinterly. Davidson, a 5-star recruit. He's averaging this season 8.5 points per game, 4.1 assists per game. Quinterly is their assist leader at 4.4 assists per game. They've got a nice point guard duo there, especially when Davidson is playing at the top of the game. He's had some nights where he looks really good, But he's had other nights where he struggled, like Auburn, he put up 0 points, but at Baylor, he put up 14. In their win over Mizzou, he had 17. So you just got to be able to limit turnovers too. Turnovers the last few games have been 2, 3. And, he's got to impact the game if Bama wants to get a win here. So you'll have Davison Quinterly, Shackelford. You'll also see a little bit of Noah Gurley, James Roas for Alabama. They're not as big as Auburn physically. Their tallest guys you'll see is Biacco, Rojas, and Gurley. Gurley and Biacco sharing time at center. So they're kind of like Arkansas in a way that all their starters are above 6 feet, so not really small, but they have a big. So Arkansas will be faced with some matchup challenges. I don't think Arkansas gets out-rebounded by 18 here, just based off of that. Now Arkansas is red hot coming into this game. They've won 9 in a row, including 2 ranked wins at LSU and then Auburn at home. What an incredible win, man. It's hard to stop thinking about that one. But the reason this Arkansas team has played fantastic is their defense. As you know, Arkansas this season hasn't been the best team shooting-wise. That's just the truth and what the roster gives you. But what Arkansas has done, they have completely bought in on defense. Musselman can send his 5 starters out and 3 guys in rotation and say, hey, you guys put your hands up and play good defense. We're going to go win this thing regardless of what we can do on the other end. Arkansas also has been what I call just clutch. They've made good shots, and in crunch time, it ended up winning games. I mean, they had the overtime game against A&M they won, overtime Auburn game they won. LSU went down the stretch. They ended up winning. The only game that really went down the stretch that Arkansas ended up losing would probably be Vanderbilt. That was a 1-point loss. Hofstra and Texas A&M, I think, can be considered in those. But Arkansas's played like a completely different team after not losing for an entire month. The main thing Arkansas has done, though, is that defense. If they can buy in on defense and limit Alabama from getting those high percentage shots that they end up making a lot, and then prevent them from getting hot from 3, would be crucial. If Alabama gets hot from 3, Arkansas's going to have a really tough time winning this game, just because of the style of basketball that Alabama plays. So it's important to defend that 3, even though Alabama's not really that good at shooting it this year. I do expect the starting lineup to be J.D. Notae, Adise Toney, Stanley Umude, Trey Wade, and Jalen Williams. This is one of the best lineups in the nation statistically. Metrically, you look at what other teams got, and I really don't think much compares to this lineup. It's kind of an ultra-big lineup at Toney and Umude, both 6'6", Wade additionally 6'6", Jalen Williams at 6'10", and then Notae 6'2", point guard. Notae's been playing out of his mind, man. 19.1 points per game of the season, 42.3% from the field. He's averaging 3.5 assists per game. Now, off the bench, replacing him at times will be Chris Lykes and Devo Davis. Lykes has been playing a lot better, kind of got into a little bit of a slump, but his leadership has definitely picked up, and he's been playing a lot smarter, making better passes, and realizing the strength of his game can be driving to the basket, getting buckets. Devo Davis, man, the last few games, he's looked like the Devo Davis from last season. I figured it would take some time for him to move into a different role. He's not playing the same way he did last season in terms of his style and stuff, but Devo's shooting 2 for 3 from 3. Definitely take that any day of the week. 10 points in his style of, defensive intensity, getting 5 steals against Auburn, only having 2 turnovers is really good there. He's been playing more of the 2 spot more than anything, as Lykes has picked up that time at point guard. Devo playing a lot of time at that 2 spot, subbing in for Umude at times, and then Toney slips over to the 3 spot. Wade getting a lot of time at power forward. Additionally, Kamani Johnson been coming off the bench for power forward, and that's just about been the 8-man rotation for Arkansas, and I think it is going to be that way down the stretch. And if all these guys can stay hot, play their best ball, Arkansas definitely has a good shot in the tournament. Now, to win this game, Arkansas has to play good defense. They've been able to hold their opponents to really low scores and efficiency the last few games, which includes holding Alabama in the paint and from 3. Alabama's not the best three-pointing team, so there's some guys that will be left open, but Arkansas, you can't let a team who the coach's style is shooting a lot of threes get hot from 3. Obviously, these are 2 of the lesser, better teams in the nation at shooting threes. But you've got to stop Alabama's, offensive rebounding too. They hit the boards, crash them hard. They get a lot of second chance points off of that one. Now, this game is more important to the AP ranking more than anything, if that's your type of thing. A loss at Alabama won't really hit our looks on seed lines and stuff. That's hard. Alabama's projected 5-6 seed in most places. Arkansas more of a 6, 7, 8, 9 seed. A loss at Alabama, though, really won't take that hard of a hit on the metrics, the looks of everything. Arkansas still has a lot more opportunities, though. You play Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, Kentucky, LSU, and then you play Kentucky again. Would be huge for Arkansas to win a good amount of those games. There's a lot of opportunities, but I guess this could kind of lock in the NCAA tournament berth as long as Arkansas beats Missouri, wins one game in the conference tournament, because then you'll be sitting at 22 wins, but I'm not really concerned about talking Arkansas in the bubble because of how this team has just played so tough to get themselves out of that situation to move forward. Now, Arkansas is probably going to be around a 3 to 4, 5 point underdog in this one. Depends on how points go and such. Now, all time versus Alabama, Arkansas leads the series 36-29. In the last few games, Arkansas has dominated 7-1 in the last 8. However, on the road, Arkansas is 8-20 all time. Just historically, Arkansas does not play that good at Coleman. That's just how it's been. Now, I've got Arkansas dropping this one just barely to Alabama. I've got Alabama putting up 76 points, Arkansas with 74. I think Alabama, at home can definitely get hot. But I wouldn't be shocked if Arkansas win this one. For Arkansas to win this one, though, and stop what Alabama does, they've got to be able to crash the boards, offense and defense. They can't get out-rebounded by double digits on the road and win games. That's going to be tough. And really make the shots that they should. There's a lot of times where Arkansas takes bad shots and such shot selection, which attributes to that field goal percentage. So just take smart shots, get your shots up, and limit Alabama. Really, defense is going to be key in this game. Now, I'll have a recap of this up on Monday. So, as always, y'all know the deal. We'll pig soon.
That's all for today's episode of All Hog Sports with Sam Stimson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hog Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hog Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!